Hello, my miraculous friend. This is Reverend Frances Fayden, and welcome to another episode of the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. I'm so excited because we have the fabulous Julie Reisler with us today, and I can't wait to start interviewing her. But before we do that, I need to calm down. We need to get ourselves relaxed and centered. So as always, let's take a few deep breaths together. If you're driving, please keep your eyes open, but you want to keep your awareness on your breath. And just let yourself become aware of your breathing. Breathing in the energy of expansion, breathing out anything that you no longer need. And as you're bringing your awareness into this moment, you begin to feel the supportive energy of the universe. You can start to tune into that divine presence within you and without you, supporting you, mostly loving you, and really preparing you for today's message. So whatever it is that you would most love to hear today, whatever that might be, just let yourself for one more moment imagine that you've already received that. You've already heard what you needed to hear. And so together, let's take one more deep breath in gratitude. And we can begin. All right, well, that worked for me. It calmed me right down. All right, my friends, thank you so much for being here again. I'm just so honored and I'm so grateful to get to introduce you to a good friend of mine and an amazing healer and colleague, Julie Reisler. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Julie, and then we are going to bring her on and we're going to talk about all the amazing ways that she can help you magnify your miracles. She's definitely helped me do that. So Julie is an intuitive coach. She's a best-selling author, a TEDx speaker, and a podcast host. And she works with big-hearted, high-achiever soul seekers, just like you. She's all about helping you to tune into your intuition to help you be your youest you. Julie is author of the Get a PhD in You book series, which is the book I talked about last episode, and is a multi-time TEDx speaker and the host of the Youest You podcast, one of my favorite podcasts. And she is also a mindfulness teacher on the popular app, the Insight Timer, with over 115,000 downloads. So you've probably heard of Julie if you're on that app. She's the founder of the School of Sacredology, which we're going to find out about today. I'm excited about that. It's an online community to help you unlock your heart intelligence and inner wisdom. Julie's currently working on her third book baby, which is due at the end of 2020. She has a master's degree in health and wellness coaching and more than 12 certifications in mindset, mindfulness, and well-being. And she's on the faculty of Georgetown University in their coaching program. So it is my great, great honor and joy to introduce you to Julie Reisler. Hi, Julie.
Hi. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here. I could hardly contain myself.
I know, that's why we had to breathe in the beginning, because we need to calm down, just be calm. Oh, I'm so grateful that you took time. I know that you are serving in such amazing ways right now, especially with everything that's going on. So I really am very grateful that you were able to take some time in your schedule to be with us. So I'm going to ask you the question I love to ask people, because there's no right or wrong answer to this, but what is your definition of a miracle?
Ooh, yeah, that feels like a sign. Miracle. So I love this question. It's funny. I used to think in grandiose terms, like miracles were these, like, I thought of Moses parting the Red Sea, which is a miracle, or the burning bush, or, you could go into a lot of biblical miracles. I think, yes, those are miracles. And what I've come to really believe is that anytime there's a shift in perspective or belief or way of seeing something more really truly connected to the divinity that is all of us. So the moment I come back to and remember the light and the expression of love that I am, when I get out of ego and out of fear and I return to love, return to myself, to me, that can be a miracle. And I actually had a little one of those this morning, and I was like, whoa, we're doing the show and I had this little miracle. And it's not little, because everything revolves around our thoughts and our beliefs and what we say to ourselves and emotions. So yeah, that I think there's like a whole spectrum of them, but they're meant to happen. For me, my belief is we are meant to experience miracles. We're in a world that is designed to have abundance and miracles. It's actually a phenomenon that I think could be daily, could be often. That's what I'm standing for.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. And I'll just share with listeners too that I had the privilege of working with Julie, and talk about magnifying your miracles. Everything that you just said is like, you really helped me to be able to do that. And I 100% agree. It's like any little shift in our awareness is miraculous and needs to be celebrated. Absolutely.
Really.
So here's your fabulous book, Get a PhD in You, which I love. And I reviewed it in the last episode. And I love that it's called A Course in Miraculous Self-Discovery, which is what you were just talking about. I know you wrote this book a little while ago, not that long ago, but you have been really practicing what you preach, and you've been growing and changing. And I know that you're working a lot with helping people tune into their intuition to be their youest you. Can you tell us a little bit more, like, what does that mean, and how did you get to be doing that?
Yeah. And I'm just so grateful to be here and loved your review. And I was listening. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I did say that. That's actually that's pretty good. Okay. I'm going to look at nourishment in my life. It was so awesome. I listened and was like, thanks. Good information. Well done. Well done.
So funny. That happens with me with my book too. I'm like, wow, I should really do what I wrote here. That's amazing. It's so funny.
So helpful. Well, and I think actually you talked a lot about nourishment, and I'll just share really briefly, just if I can, my quick overview of my story, because I think it's important. For a long time, I had really not the best relationship with nourishment, with my body, with food, with my whole, let's just say, way of dealing with life and emotions. I used and abused food. There are probably some others out there. If you're out there, hello, my sister and brother, if you've struggled with overeating. And I'm not talking like a little overeating here and there. I'm talking about using it to cope with anything that I felt comfortable with. And what happens is I didn't realize that I was also empathic and sensitive as a human being, meaning an empath often I feel a lot. I feel a lot of everyone around me. I feel a lot myself. And food, I used it not knowing it was blocking my ability to feel and my intuition. And so that food, really, it worked until it didn't work. And I found myself, there's not more than one, I found myself, although I've done a lot of transformation, maybe there are a few of me, but found myself really at a place of just complete desperation and surrender. This is about 18 years ago. And this is where, for me, the story picks up of I had a lot of intuitive knowing, feeling, hearing, seeing for a lot of my life. And I just really kind of dismissed it. I grew up outside of Boston, a very intellectual area that really valued science and logic. And so I just remember I was driving and I'd heard about a support group for people that struggle with overeating. And I was really in this split decision. Do I drive into a tree, or do I go to a meeting with my hand in a bag of M&Ms?
Wow.
And I could not stop eating, could not. And I remember, thank God, I heard a voice that said, Julie, if you go to the meeting, your whole life is going to change, and it's going to change for the better. And it was just this small whisper, but I don't know. There's, thank God, something about it. Like, I felt it in my being. And I went to this meeting. I totally felt embarrassed and ashamed. I was bawling. It took a long time for me to let go of shame and realize that, actually I'm not unique at all. There's a lot of us that struggle with addiction. And I would say that was the beginning of this journey of really learning to tune in and trust it. And it's the same voice. I left my first marriage, good person, not the right fit energetically. That was very challenging thing for me. It was, I had 2 kids under the age of 2. The same voice when I had a health breakdown that said something is wrong with your throat chakra, your voice, which was my thyroid. And the same voice that said, Julie, it's time to pick up and leave. I was a single mom working at a day job, 9-to-5 cushy corporate job. And it said, it's time to do your own business and to help people in a bigger way. So that voice, I have spent a lot of energy and time graciously, gratefully learning to tune in. And the more I do, the more miracles come. And so that is really one of the things I love to do, is both use it in my coaching and also help people to tune in, because we all have that gift. It lives within us. It's a treasure box, and it has saved my life and changed and created my life over and over. And I see it as the direct line, the direct, phone line to the divine, to infinite love. I really do. So it's been a game changer. My whole life is powered by, my inner wisdom, intuition.
Yay. I love that story. Every time I hear it, it's just like, wow, it's amazing. It's just such an amazing journey that you've been on. Now, I know that you talked a little bit about your coaching. Tell us a little bit more, because I know you have all these coaching certifications, but now there's this intuition piece. So how are you working with people? How is that manifesting, those two things?
Yeah, I have to laugh first, because when you were reading it, I'm like, okay, I talk about working with overachievers, and I'm like, yeah, I think like that's another section. I could go to another support group, and that's probably why I track them.
Yeah.
I'm like, 12 certifications, that's a little much. What the heck was I thinking? But I'm certifiably certified. I am certified. As much.
All right.
Yeah, one of the, actually, it's interesting because I have the whole coaching, master's degree. I've taught at Georgetown. I've taught at schools. And I have loved doing that. But one of the things I realized, I also have, both as an intuitive, and then a training I had done about 5 years back with a healer, and the work that we've done together. All of that combined has really helped to kind of both crack open my intuition, and frankly, what I do is I both bring in my intuition when I coach people, but I also am able to help with healing, with helping to take parts. We have parts of us that have experienced trauma.
Yeah.
And to kind of, I don't know how and why, but I can get images and help to kind of bring back parts of us that are fragmented or that are still in trauma. And so what I would say is I do this in a very, it's customized. Everybody is different. And I trust the divine mother, divine love connected with me to kind of navigate with each person. But part of what I see my role in coaching and infusing in both my intuition and that healing aspect is really helping to cultivate that inner wisdom and intuition with my clients, because the goal is, while I love working with my beautiful clients, the goal is for you to be able to do that for yourself.
Yeah.
That's important. So it's a bit of not just teaching, but like facilitating, coaching that, so you can start to experience, oh my gosh, I do have an inner wisdom, and I'm starting to identify it. I can track it, and I'm seeing how it's changing my life.
That's awesome. So I love this word, Sacredology. I love this word. And so you're the founder of the School of Sacredology, and I'm wondering if you would be willing to share with us, what is Sacredology? What is it? What does it mean?
Well, it's a great question. Who knows, right? We never know what it means, but so again, back to intuition. It's about a year ago. This idea popped in. My father had taken a very bad fall, almost died. I'll spare the story, but it was an incredible story of being guided by my team of light, is what I sometimes call it. And I was on the plane to go back to Boston to visit him. And I was walking through the airport, and I saw this book, and all I saw in the book was the word sacred, and it popped out and it lit up, and I got into the plane. And I know now when I see that to just pause, journal, and reflect. And so I started to write about the word sacred, and I don't know what it was about that word, but all of a sudden it came to me, the same letters in sacred are in scared. And I thought, well, that's interesting. What is the correlate? Like, what is that about? And the next thing I know, I'm writing and I'm writing and I'm writing. And then out of nowhere, and this is sometimes what happens, I make up words or they come to me.
Right.
The word just pops in my field. I heard it. I literally audio heard it. And I thought, Sacredology. It's interesting. Is that a word? Like, never heard of it. Biology, physiology. I'm like, okay, Sacredology. And I wrote it down. I was like, let me look it up. And I looked it up. And I'm like, okay, it doesn't mean anything. That's interesting. Why is that coming to me? And for a year, I've been really playing with that word and asking what it means. And what's come to me is this idea of really turning, we turn that fear into faith. We all have that sacred divine. I mean, we're made of that. We're made of the sacred. And so when you start to tune into, your heart wisdom and intelligence, your sacred nature, that allows to be able to live a life that is in your heart versus just in your ego and head. And I found it to be able to help me turn that fear to faith and live in a whole different way. And so I just started playing with it, and now have this school, this community, learning community that we're really looking, what does it mean to be sacred? And frankly, underneath that is knowing that you're worthy. It's really about worthiness and knowing that we're deserving of love. And just had a call today, and it was like, minds were blown, because this is what we all deal with as human beings. But I believe the divine, it is love. We are love. And it's a return to that. And I'll be honest, it's a daily practice for me, as you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking as I'm listening to you that I don't think it's like you got this download like a year ago or so. And I don't think it's a coincidence that now's the time that teaching is really coming forward and having form around it and helping people to connect with something that's not just the material world, because the material world is feeling so scary to people, or so uncertain, I should say, that this is the time that energy is coming forward. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's I'll tell you, this is a great example of just being in that channel of divine flow. I had been wondering, when is it going to be really important to talk about being scared? Like, it doesn't, I mean, okay, there's anxiety, I get it. And about 4 weeks, when this all started, the pandemic started, I woke up and I got my intuition kicked in, my inner voice. And it was like, you need to do this right now. And let me tell you something, not much was formed yet. These were notes in my iPhone. I mean, I could pull them up. They were like little
Right.
notes and ideas. So, I think the more we give credence and give attention to our inner wisdom, the more it can guide us. And it's just this, that study and art and living of being your sacred self. And what does that mean? It's like so needed right now. So I've been really grateful, a little surprised. And just, I've learned to trust this voice now over time. So I thought, okay, I hear the voice. I don't know what to do first, but I'm just going to go and start something. And now it's really coming together. So I'm in awe. I'm in awe of how the divine is. I think that's the goal, right? Is to be used for, our the highest good of all those that we're here to serve. And I'm just in awe. I'm grateful that I can be used now like that.
That's awesome. So just so I'm clear about it, when you say School of Sacredology, when I think of school, I think of like having a semester and it starts in the fall or something like that. But if I wanted to do it, I could just go and I can sign up. You don't have to have like, it starts April 1st or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, my school is open all the time. Open enrollment. You can join whenever you want.
That's awesome.
It's an ongoing learning community. There's and it's even getting built out even more, but there's a lot of different resources, workshops, guides. We do calls twice a week, meditations, private community,
I love that.
classes. I know you're going to join us. Really a space, a sacred, safe space to know yourself as the divine, incredible, sacred individual that you are.
Yeah, I love that.
Anytime.
So you were speaking about the whole. We're doing this interview during that whole pandemic energy, and I know a lot of people are searching right now. They're really searching. So what can people do? Like some people might be struggling with overeating. Like what can they do to get more in touch with their intuition? Or what's the step that's even before that? If they're noticing that they're, doing whatever, what would you say to people if they're wanting to get more in touch with their intuition, especially now?
Yeah, it's interesting. As an empath, it's funny as you're saying that. So I can actually feel people. I'm feeling it in my chest and my throat. Like, first of all, I understand the whole eating situations, so much so. And with uncertainty, with isolation, any addiction, it's like, this is a time it could rear its head. And so first of all, my heart is with everyone. Like we are all one, and you're not alone. I think the most important thing, if you get nothing else from anything I say, this has been probably the aspect that has helped me to heal the most. And that is, number one, just how would I say this? Relentless, what's the right word? Compassion, meaning compassion and forgiveness and love, no matter what, I don't care if you ate all day. I don't care if you drank all night. I don't love and compassion. And the question that has really served me and continues to serve, and I see it, is when you're in that space, if nothing more, the first thing I would say, here's a couple things you can do. Number one, hand to your heart. Putting your hand to your heart immediately draws your attention to your heart. Our heart is made of something like 40,000 intelligent neurons. It is literally, in my belief, it is our center of guidance, of love, of compassion, of life force. It actually, I think, when we allow it, is what is meant to guide us, to show the way shower. But just putting your hand to your heart, feeling your heartbeat, knowing you are here, you are okay. You are made of love and life force. For me, that helps calm me down, taking a few breaths like we started. And then asking the question, what is the most loving thing I can do for myself right now? How can I love myself more right now? I really believe that is one of the most important questions you can ever ask yourself. How can I love myself more right now? What is the most loving thing I can do? And that has really been one of the most important game-changing questions. I've had times where I found myself in boxes and bags in the fridge. It's not like I'm in perfect recovery. I have people in my life. Sometimes I get sad or frustrated or triggered, and I turn to food. Or you could turn to TV or gossip or social media or drinking or whatever it is. Anything that takes us out of ourselves, I really believe it's always a return to love, a return to heart. So hand to heart, a few breaths, and you could just say, ask your heart, what can I do to love you? What would you have me know about this situation? And if you tune in, I'm guaranteeing you're going to get something very different than what your sweet little head is going to tell you. And I think that's a good place to start. Another thing you can do is, after you've connected to your heart and bring in some appreciation, is to start dialoguing and journaling it. What would be for my highest good today? How should I handle this situation? Your heart is going to have, to me, it's, intuition it's connected to our heart. We have gut, we have heart. I mean, it's all, there's science behind that. So however that works for you, some people feel in their third eye or in their gut, but, I think when you connect here in the heart first, it just calms down the whole nervous system, and it allows us to get in a state of receiving, of divine feminine, of allowing and listening, which, to be honest, I think is one of the kind of, I would say, byproducts or gifts of what's happening as we have more time to tune in.
Absolutely. Just when you say that, there's something that happens when you start to talk about this work, this heart connection, like the whole energy changes. And it's like, it almost brings tears to my eyes, because I'm like, oh my God, it's what we all so need right now. And you just facilitate that so beautifully. I love that. So great. So we talked about the Insight Timer. You have some meditations on the Insight Timer, is that right? Where people can go, Insight Timer app, if they want to hear some of your guided meditations?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to add one quick thing.
Yes,
say what you
please.
said. I think it's important, because I'm like thinking about it, when you hear someone's bio or all the things they're up to, there was a lot of time I did not live in my heart. Like, we're talking, I lived in a land far, far away, and it was not fun. I'm just going to share. So what I think it's important to say is that, you can return to your heart at any moment, and it's always there waiting for us. You've never missed the boat. You've never missed the boat. So I just want to say, that's part of why this is my life's work, is it's been a journey to return to my heart. And a lot of the meditations that I've done up on Insight Timer are revolving around self-love and confidence and connection to your heart and connection to the abundance that you are. And then I have a few on overeating, recovery from overeating. I have a course and a meditation. If you feel like you're going to start to overeat, I actually just put one up to for myself too, to just pause. So it's been a gift to be up there and to see you up there.
Yeah, awesome. It's such an amazing platform, the Insight Timer. It's just so rich with resources for people. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially for these times, I said this before in a previous episode that I really feel like, as an interfaith minister, I definitely think that things are symbolic. There's universal themes that are going on, as above, so below, as within, so without. And I look for the symbolism of what's happening. And this whole thing of everybody having to stay in, like we're all being told to stay in, to me is symbolic of like we're being asked to go within right now. And I think now is a perfect time for people to be doing some of the work that you're talking about, of going within, doing your meditations, doing your journaling, all of that kind of stuff. If people wanted to find out a little bit more about you, about your work, about, how they can go deeper, what would they do, Julie?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways you can find me, and I would love to hear from you, hear how you're doing, any way I can support you. Probably the best first way would be my website, which is just my full name, juliereisler.com. If you want to check into the School of Sacredology, for now, right now, you can go to juliereisler.com/School of Sacredology. I am gratefully on Insight Timer. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, all social media platforms. Just look up my name. And my podcast is there too. All stuff is there. And yeah, I love people. And then my book, Get a PhD in You, is on Amazon. And I do have a companion journal. Both were really created with so much love. It's not even funny. I really took my 18-year journey. It really stemmed from, there was a day, maybe 12 years in, where I just felt like this peace that I'd never felt. And I was with a friend after one of our support meetings, and I said, oh my God, I feel like I just did the like PhD version of like studying myself. And the thing is, we study often everything but ourselves. And so this book, actually for a full year, I heard a voice say, you need to write a book. And I'm not even that great of a writer. So there you go. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to write it anyhow from my heart. I'm going to talk to my younger self, to people I've coached, and I'm going to find a good editor. And that's what I did. And I wanted something that was like, you don't have to do 18 years or 50 grand in therapy or every coaching program. I thought, you know what? I can put this in a book that is experiential and can help change your life, because it is literally verbatim what helped me.
And I will share with our fabulous listeners that Julie's been very generous, and you can actually get the free ebook version of this book, right, Julie?
Yeah, you can just go to, again, juliereisler.com/free book.
And I will have all of these resources in the show notes for everybody, so you don't have to worry about that, but you'll have where to find Julie and how to have access to this book. But it's Julie Reisler, Reisler spelled Reisler, juliereisler.com/free book or /School of Sacredology. Oh my goodness. What a joy to get to spend time with you and this beautiful energy. I'm so grateful.
Well, I am beyond grateful to be here. So for those tuning in, we could just, you got to know, we could keep going. I mean, I'm like, I don't really want to stop talking. Why are we ending this? I'm kidding.
I know. We could keep going and going. Absolutely.
I'm grateful though. Thank you for inviting me and reviewing my book and just bringing me into this gorgeous community. And I really pray and hope that there was, people's hearts were touched and there was some really lovely, transformative, powerful impact. That's always the intention.
Oh, I know that there was. I absolutely know that there was. Absolutely. Yeah. The power of your intention is pretty amazing. So thank you for taking time. I so appreciate it. And thank you for this beautiful gift that you're letting the listeners have access to. And I will share everything with everybody, again, in the show notes. So thank you, Julie. And I want to say to everybody who's listening, remember that the key to magnifying your miracles is to remember that your miracle is already here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.